Good morning and welcome to Super Sunday at Prodigal Church.
Hey, easy now. Rambo! 59! Get on the ball! Get on the ball!
Sunday, I am pleased to welcome some of our friends from the NFL who gave us permission to mic them up at some of the games this season. Here is the completely unedited footage.
So thanks for the help, guys.
Prodigal's a place I've been to for 7 years. Super Sunday, I'll be there for show. I get the donuts there, and they're like really tart. Hey, you ain't gonna find your donut. Yeah, I get the coffee. It's kind of warm.
I was thinking maybe I could read you some Bible verses.
You always have got good burps.
Do I really? Yeah? You really think I do? Uh-huh.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
Easy. Next to the church name, Pastor Eric's my favorite. Or Miss Brittany. No, it's basically not John, I'm afraid. Peace in the Middle East.
It's like heaven in a pickle, heaven in a pickle, heaven in a pickle, heaven in a pickle.
Watch Honcho.
Tiny morning rash. Borgzimmer Shasta. Rocket tall wingnut. Silky Bidet Jorgensen.
Wart Candy.
Thanks so much for joining us for Super Sunday here at Prodigal Church.
Oh, girls, there's something wrong with the audio.
What do you mean?
Oh, wait. No, I think I fixed it. Yep, just keep going.
So we're good?
Act
Keep
like
going?
nothing happened.
Okay.
So next week, we're going to greet you guys. We're going to be like, hey, guys, that was so much fun, and we are so glad you came to Prodigal Church. Yes, we are so glad you are here. We just love when Pastor John tells stories about his kids. They're so cute. It's so amazing. It wouldn't be a Sunday sermon without a story about one of John's kids. And I don't know if you guys know this, but his kids' names are Dex and Ivy. And you know when he starts to tell a story, it's gonna be a new one. It's the first time ever. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you guys know that the Super Bowl doesn't really count because the Kansas City Chiefs aren't in it. And it's not really a Super Bowl without the Kansas City Chiefs in it. Yeah, and the 49ers aren't in it either. So, I mean, those two teams. It's just pretend. We're so glad you joined us today. Happy Super Bowl Sunday. Yay! Go team! Well, happy Super Sunday. Welcome to Prodigal Church. Now, before we dive into the message this morning, I just want to highlight again our auction. Last year and the years before, so much fun, so many items, great food. Tickets are on sale now, and perhaps you have like a Christmas gift that you still haven't opened or used yet. You haven't even taken it out of the box. You're not going to use it, okay? But somebody else will. So donate it to our silent or live auction. All of the proceeds goes to fund amazing work being done here in the Fresno community, but also in Southeastern Africa, okay? You're gonna hear more about that in the weeks to come. Super Sunday is something that we have done every year since our church started in 2017. It's just an excuse to kind of like have some extra fun at church. And for the message, I always get to speak on whatever I want, okay? It's my party and I'll cry if I want to kind of a thing. And so this morning, maybe it's the Spirit, maybe it's just me, I just want to focus on the main thing, okay? When I was in Malawi, Africa for 6 months, when I was 19 years old, I met a guy from Zimbabwe, and his name was Kumbukani Firi. And he said one thing that I'll never forget. He said, the main thing about the main thing is to keep the main thing the main thing. And the main thing is Jesus. And I just want to say something really simple. It's not profound. Jesus is real. He's real. He's not a myth. He's not a fairy tale. He's as real as you are. And I know that doesn't sound like something profound, especially for a pastor to say during a sermon for a church. But so often in our lives, we live like he's not, myself included. We just live our lives like on an autopilot. Work, Starbucks, practice, dinner, Netflix, sleep. And the God of the universe, the God of the natural and the supernatural just becomes one of the many things that we have going on. And I'm not trying to bash that, okay? I just want to acknowledge it. Life just happens, and we simply don't give Jesus the attention we should. Am I the only one? And because we just keep going on in the natural, we often miss the supernatural. This is a photo of my home state, Illinois, in the fall. It's a photo of a maple tree with its leaves changing colors. It's beautiful. It changes colors every single year because of the climate, because the soil is well suited for that area, the Midwest. For maple trees to grow, it's the perfect setting and leaves us this beautiful scene every fall. This is a photo of the Mojave Desert here in California. Conditions are not as well suited for a maple tree. It's a much less hospitable climate. Now, why do I do this? Why do I say this? Why do I show this? The supernatural is like a maple seed. It can grow anywhere, but some places it's abundant and it takes very little effort at all. In other places, it takes more work, more cultivation, more barriers to overcome. There are conditions in our world today, wherever you're listening from, that make the miraculous more difficult. The Age of Reason gave us all kinds of great gifts 500 years ago. Reason, rationality, yeah, they can solve a lot of our problems. And it has solved a lot of our problems. It gave us science. It gave us modern medicine, the Industrial Revolution, democracy. It also limits. It can and does undermine other things. And once you elevate reason or logic above all else, it cuts off and inadvertently chokes out other things. The supernatural. If you live in the Mojave Desert long enough to where now someone shows you a maple seed, you might say, I've never seen a maple tree. I don't know if they exist. I've never experienced autumn the way other people say they have. I don't believe in that. Everything around me tells me that it doesn't exist. The ancient Roman poet Juvenal wrote a popular collection of satirical poems in the early 2nd century, just after the time of Jesus. And he once wrote this in a poem called Satire 6. Do you say no worthy wife is to be found among all these crowds? Well, let her be handsome, charming, rich, and fertile. Let her have ancient ancestors ranged about her halls. Let her be more chaste than the disheveled Sabine maidens who stopped the war. A prodigy as rare upon the earth as a black swan. Yet who could endure a wife that possessed all perfections? Now, in case you didn't understand, let me summarize. He's saying, a woman who is pretty, charming, rich, a virgin, and will bear me many children, that's impossible, okay? And even if she did exist, wouldn't she be insufferable to be around because she's too perfect? Now, here in this poem, we have the earliest written version of a popular saying, a prodigy as rare upon the earth as a black swan. This phrase, or like a shortened version of it, became a very popular phrase in medieval Europe, talking about something that's impossible. It's similar to us saying, when pigs fly, or a cold day in hell, or when hell freezes over. In other words, it means it ain't ever gonna happen. Now, why did this phrase represent an impossibility? Well, it was common knowledge back then that all swans were white. After all historical records indicated that swans were white, and every observable swan in Europe was white. And then, on a fateful day in 1697, Willem de Vlaming, a Dutch explorer touring Western Australia, the impossible became possible. He and his crew observed black swans for the very first time. In 1726, 2 of the birds were captured and brought to Europe as proof. For 1,400 years, everybody knew without a shadow of a doubt, they were certain that swans were white and only white. It was scientifically documented and so deeply cemented in pop culture that it served as a common phrase to talk about something that was impossible. What was thought to be absolute knowledge for thousands of years, in one moment became false and irrelevant. In one moment, the world as they knew it changed from a world in which black swans were impossible to a world in which not only were black swans impossible, but they were right in front of them. Nothing is impossible. That's what I want to say. Maple trees can grow, black swans exist, and Jesus is real. Okay, that's my sermon. And I don't know what you're thinking. Like I don't know where you are spiritually. But I do have an inkling that maybe, okay, just maybe, you live much of your life unaware that God, the God of heaven and earth, is intent on you and is moving in supernatural ways around us all the time. And he's trying to get your attention. So there are some great limitations to the age of reason. But reason is not my God. Jesus is. Let's look at Jesus in Mark chapter 10. When they reached Jericho, and as Jesus and his disciples left town, a large crowd followed him. A blind beggar named Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, was sitting beside the road. When Bartimaeus heard that Jesus of Nazareth was nearby, he began to shout, "Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me." "Be quiet," many of the people yelled at him. But he only shouted louder, "Son of David, have mercy on me." When Jesus heard him, he stopped and said, "Tell him to come here." So they called the blind man. "Cheer up," they said. "Come on, he's calling you." Bartimaeus threw aside his coat, jumped up, and came to Jesus. "What do you want me to do for you?" Jesus asked. "My rabbi," the blind man said, "I want to see." And Jesus said to him, "Go, for your faith has healed you." Instantly the man could see, and he followed Jesus down the road. We are that blind man, living our lives day to day. No maple trees, no black swans, just Netflix. And then Jesus is nearby, and he changes everything. He helps us see. He's always nearby. Every day we can cry out. We can always cry out. And the story, like it's not just a story. It's reality. Jesus notices and cares for hurting people. Still, the Gospels are not just about what Jesus did. They're about what Jesus does. Jesus notices you. Jesus knows you. Jesus is intent on you. You do not ever need to think that Jesus is not aware of your situation or unmoved by your tears. Jesus is not indifferent or going to ignore your pain. Some people have an erroneous idea that God does not take personal and emotional interest in us petty human beings. Nothing could be further from the truth. Jesus expressed compassion for the hurting on multiple occasions, and he is the perfect expression of God the Father. Through his life, we know that God cares deeply for hurting people. And you may not understand many of the things that you're going through, or like why your prayers are going unanswered right now, but you can be confident that God notices and cares about your pain. Whoever that is for, God is saying to you that I notice and I care about your pain. And sometimes that's enough to get us through it. Now, this man that we meet in Mark's gospel, the name Bartimaeus means son of honor. And this is the only time in the book of Mark where he gives the name of the person who Jesus heals, and he gives the name in an unusual way. Now, in the Greek text, Mark words it in a way that stresses the meaning of the name rather than the name of the person himself. The name means son of honor, and this son of honor is found blind and begging on the street. Immediately, like a first century audience would see the irony here. Son of honor, begging, poor, blind, dishonorable. You see, names, they're significant in the ancient world, always. It wasn't just a name, it was who you are, it was your character. Names are still significant in our world today in a different way. I came across some humorous names this week in my preparation. Okay, this kid is Jedi Knight. This athlete is Kim You-suk. Apparently this guy did an interview, his name is Wet Farts. And then who can forget the real estate mogul, Ben Dover? Now, Bartimaeus, son of honor, calls Jesus something other than his name. He calls him son of David. Names are significant. Son of David was a way of saying that Jesus is the promised Messiah, the anointed one, the one to save Israel. Verse 47, when Bartimaeus heard that Jesus of Nazareth was nearby, he began to shout, Jesus, son of David, have mercy on me. That word to shout is kratzo, to croak. It's the cry of a raven. It's ah! Hence, to cry out aloud, to vociferate, to cry or pray for vengeance, to cry aloud, to speak with a loud voice. This is like a visceral cry. This beggar who is out there every day doing the same thing, every day, begging, but he perceives through his other senses that Jesus of Nazareth is near. Do you, right now, listening, watching, sense something real? Even in the midst of the common and the ordinary, something new and life-giving can take place. Some people can see something so many times and they forget what it's all about. Like, is it you? Maybe you've been to church 1,000 times. Jesus has walked by numerous times and we see, but we don't perceive anything. And we certainly don't get off the ground and cry out like a crow or a raven to encounter him. Bartimaeus stands up and he shouts, kratzo. He cries out. And what does he cry out? Mercy. The Greek word here for mercy is elieo. It's where we get the English word eo. Okay, it means to have mercy on, to help one afflicted or seeking aid. to bring help to the wretched. Verse 48, they kept trying to keep him quiet, but his shouts seemed to be louder. Elio, Elio, mercy, mercy. The Aos were louder than everyone else's cries. Verse 49, when Jesus heard him, he stopped and said, tell him to come here. Jesus calls him. This is not just a beautiful healing story, but it's a call story. Jesus calls someone that's blind, poor, alone, and in need of mercy. And the word here for call is phoneo. It means to send or to summon. It's where we get the word telephone. Jesus calls him. Jesus gives him a call. It denotes a call out of something, to quit something and then to join something else. Is there something that Jesus is calling you to quit? Just a call away. This is a beautiful call, and you're called to something so much better. In the winter, I used to like to ski, okay? It's been a long time. Some skiers love the risk of skiing in fresh powder in the midst of huge aspen, spruce, sequoia trees. And they say that the key is not hitting the trees, obviously. In Outside Magazine, the writer and skier Tim Etchells lays out the challenge. Even more so than in deep snow or moguls, what you focus your eyes on becomes critical in the woods. Look at the spaces between the trees, the exits where you hope to be traveling. Don't stare at what you don't want to hit. Wow. Don't stare at what you don't want to hit. Are you staring at things that you don't want to hit? Are you focused on the things that afflict you? Or are you looking towards where you want to go? Towards the voice that's calling. Notice what Bartimaeus does after he's called to Jesus. So they called the blind man. Cheer up, they said. Come on, he's calling you. Bartimaeus threw aside his coat, jumped up, and came to Jesus. Did you notice that he threw his cloak aside? This blind beggar doesn't have many possessions. The cloak is all he has. That was his lifeline. It kept him warm in the winter and shielded him from sun in the summer. He tosses it aside. His name, Son of Honor, perhaps maybe he was born into a wealthy family. Perhaps he was at one time rich and the beautiful cloak was denoting his honor and his prestige. Perhaps he was once a son of honor, but now the blind and begging, he's holding so closely his cloak, like he held his dignity and honor in the days of old. And in one word, he throws it aside. He tosses it aside to meet Jesus. He throws off what everyone says makes you honorable and great to meet Jesus. What do you need to throw aside today? Let God's real supernatural spirit inside you bring it to the surface of your conscience. Verse 51, what do you want me to do for you? Jesus asked. My rabbi, the blind man said, I want to see. And Jesus said to him, go, for your faith has healed you. Instantly the man could see, and he followed Jesus down the road. Here Bartimaeus calls Jesus something that's beautiful. In English it says, my Lord, or my rabbi in the Greek. In Greek, it's literally Rabboni, Rabboni. It's double. It's two words back to back. It's like a very, very, or like a really, really, or like I pinky promise. It's I really mean it. And it's not just rabbi, it's Rabboni. My rabbi. My great one. My. His. It's an extremely personal term, and it's only used one other time in the New Testament, and it's when Mary Magdalene, a former prostitute and disciple of Christ, sees Jesus after the resurrection, and she calls him the same thing. Rabboni, Rabboni, my great one, my rabbi, my personal. Mary knew Jesus, and this beggar uses the same term. He's not just teacher, rabbi. He's my great one, my Jesus. You can know him. You can know him. Not about him, but know him. And there's such a big difference between knowing about someone and actually knowing someone. There's an amazing, beautiful, old Jewish fable about a famous rabbi who was known for knowing God. And he would teach, and crowds would gather, and they were amazed at his teaching, and they were amazed at his intimacy with the divine. A passerby was whisked away with his words. And after the sermon, he goes up to the rabbi and he says, I want to know God in the way you know God. So the rabbi says, follow me. And they walk down into this river. And as they get into the river, they're about waist deep. And the rabbi grabs the new disciple by the shoulders and pushes him underwater. The young man thinks this is a strange lesson, but obviously there's something here. And after a few moments, the new disciple taps the rabbi's arms like, okay, it's lesson learned. I'll come up now. And the rabbi holds him fast. And so he does it a little bit harder. And the rabbi pushes down harder and begins to panic. He's running out of breath. He doesn't have much left. He doesn't know what's happening. Is this some psycho? And so he starts to hit. He starts to claw. He starts to grab. He starts to wiggle. And with every ounce of strength he had inside of him, he pushes off and breathes. He gasps for air. He splashes the rabbi and says, are you crazy? You could have killed me. And the rabbi says, almost in a whisper, when you long to know God the way you longed for air, then you will know him as I know him. Do you know him? Going to church doesn't count. Do you know him? Is he my rabbi, my great one, my great teacher? Is it personal? There's just something about Jesus. Like I've given my life to him. Like he's my best friend. He's my hope. He's my help. He's my hero. He's my savior. He's my liberation. He's my love. He's my Lord. He's my God. He's my rabbi. My rabbi. Great one. He's mine. And he's yours. Intimacy with the divine. Jesus makes this possible. God cares about your hurt. God cares about your pain. He is not distant. Jesus teaches us the beauty of grace, mercy. God gives us and gifts us with his love and his life and his light. And there's nothing I have to do to earn it. It's a beautiful way to live in this world. And through his Spirit, we can begin to play in the fallen leaves again. Remember as a kid, the leaves of the maple fall down. You gather them all together and you jump in those piles and you could fly. We could stare at the sky as black swans fly above. Nothing is impossible. For some of you, you're intrigued by Jesus. You're interested in Jesus. You're enamored with Jesus. You have questions about Jesus. You believe in Jesus. We're all in a different spot in our connection. What matters is if we do what Bartimaeus did and we follow Jesus down the road. Do you follow him? It's all that matters. At some point, we got to stop being friends and dating At some point, we gotta stop dating and get married. We don't evolve slowly into a lifelong marriage. At some point, we have to say yes. At some point, we have to cry out, Son of David, have mercy on me. And he says, come, and we follow. God, I pray that you would open up our eyes to like your constant presence, the supernatural all around us. Help us to see as you see. Help us to see you for real. Not distant, but near. You're close to those in pain who are hurting. Heal us, God. Open up our eyes as you did Bartimaeus 2,000 years ago. We need you, Jesus. In your name, amen. We want to thank you so much for joining us online for Super Sunday at Prodigal Church. If you're in the Central Valley of California, yeah, we got a salsa competition and a lot of fun things going on at church today, 10 a.m. in the Bullard High School Theater. Also want to encourage you, wherever you're at, support our auction coming up on March 6th. It's going to be incredible. We pray God's peace, blessing on you, family, and friends. Grace,